Alright, we're going to do something just a little bit different. I am Clay Douglas, I am the Free American, and we are going to start recording directly to YouTube as I do the show live on Blogtalk Radio, on Talkshoe, and other things. We've been doing this on BlogTV and then uploading the show and dealing with all the trolls and all the assholes and idiots that haunt those kind of shows. So now we're taking back control, and we're going to do it this way. And just in case you forget who I am, we'll do this. And let me tell you, my guest today is Dr. Jake Wade, and the music will get better as we work all the bugs out of here, get all the kinks out of here, and maybe we can even figure out how to do minicam. So we got my guest up here too. We'll work on that. We'll try to do something about that. If you can help, well, go to freeamerican.com or send me an email at clay@freeamerican.com. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, I am Clay Douglas, and my guest today is Dr. Jake Wade, Dean of Timothy Bible College, founder of the Little Red Schoolhouse, and pastor of the Way Church. Hello. How are you doing, Jake?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm doing fine. I'm healthy. I'm in pretty good spirits this morning. So, yes, I'm doing fine. And I'm not singing. Just out of curiosity, let me, I've referred to this election as, many people have referred to it as the lesser of two evils. And I've referred to it as two wings of the same bird. Don't think anything's going to change, anything's going to be different. But I did have somebody on my here that poses as a rabbi, one of these trolls there, and keeps talking about his people. And if after I get your reaction about the election and what direction we can go from now, I want to talk to you about his people, because I've got a gentleman that is nearby that believes that God has spoken to him personally, and he made these statements to me the other day. Well, I didn't know that I was Jewish, but until my grandmother told me that. And I think he's a little bit confused. So let's point one, the election. We had Obama in. I said yesterday that might be a good thing. He might drive people to the point with a communist agenda where people can realize that such a thing could still exist. What do you think?
I fully agree. Of course, I have a computer guru buddy, friend that's kind of in our loop, that said, why not go ahead and let Obama get back in, because then, it will go on south, it will continue to self-destruct, it will continue to go the direction we're going in, and maybe that'll wake the silent majority, whatever you want to call them, up to actually do something to change this, because as you and I have discussed, the change has got to come from the people. It's it doesn't make a difference who we put in the White House or even in Congress if we do not change our approach. And it's insidious at this point. We have, I'm 70 years old. I'm on what's called Social Security, and that's part of what needs to be dealt with. And the people that are going to feel the crunch are all of us that need to change. If we could get self-sufficient, and of course you're going to go back to Liberty Village approach, but if we could get more self-sufficient where we didn't depend on the government for anything, we'd at least have some of the control back. And I'm hoping, I'm praying that that's what's going to happen with this, that it's gotten so drastic and so screwed up and so chaotic and so dictatorially communist that maybe the silent majority that old like we are remembers that it didn't have to be like that.
Now, let's go back to my neighbor here. His grandmother told him, I've heard that before from other people, grandmother told me I was Jewish. But the Bible talks about, Revelation talks about the Jews that say they're Jews, but are not. So 2,000 years ago, they were warning us about this tactic. That says to me that the people they were warning about, and I've got a few things up here from a gentleman called who talks about the overcomer. Now, I've had some pictures up on shortwave back years ago when I was on shortwave talking about the overcomer, and he says, are you presenting this judicial evidence before the throne to shut the mouth and actions of the prosecutor? If not, then no wonder you're having struggles in your life, feel like you're cursed instead of blessed. Are you trying to come out of the curses by your works, by trying to become righteous in all your ways, or by faith? If you're trying to come out of the works to become righteous, how many ministers, many ministers are trying to put up on you, then you are on the wrong track and you will never come out. I've used that phrase, come out of her, from the Bible, to talk about Liberty Villages. I mean, I've used that many times because I felt if you grow your own food and can generate your own energy from everything around you, and this can be done. It doesn't have to be on a farm. It doesn't have to be on a ranch. It doesn't have to be on the other. It can be right in a city block. If you just talk to your neighbors, work with your neighbors, and grow your own food and produce your own energy, you don't need the banks. You don't need the government for nothing. What is it?
Well, I have a few minutes to do what you might call vernacular or vocabulary or syntax. Here's our problem. Part of our problem is that we have, as you say, I knew I was a Cherokee because my dad told me that, and also told me to kill too many people because that's not a good thing. I would not have known I had Cherokee ancestry had he not said so. I can understand a Jew saying the same thing. Our problem is that those terms may not mean what they used to, what they should if they were properly applied. And if you use the term, you're using a term applied to Judah or Judea, which is accurately applied, but nowadays is a more collective term to include anybody who thinks they have Jewish, Israeli, Israelite, anybody from that area kind of blood or history. And it's much like some of the Texans and Texas Cherokees have done. They're not really Texas Cherokees at all. They're just wannabes. We have the same thing going on with our parties, if you want to call them that. I think we ought to do away with parties in this country because, as you said, you can't tell the difference between them. And it's not, Republicans should be Republic Party, in other words, standing for a republic government. Democracy, of course, will never work because that's a form of government which allows for mob rule, which leads to dictatorship. It's not a valid form, and we have so convoluted our vocabulary that we no longer know what we're talking about. And I think that's part of the problem. You can come at you and say you're anti-Semitic, but they don't even know what the term means.
Now, this identity, the Christian identity has been attacked. Now this is, why haven't the Baptists been attacked? Why haven't this came out in the Homeland Security Assessment report, they were attacking the militia, and folks, the militia ain't no terrorist organization out there. The militia is the people.
That's right. And there's another thing too, that the misunderstanding of what we should be and how this all began has been so widespread. I don't know that young people under 60 years old or 55 years old even get it, because a republic means that we are going to be able to be somewhat self-determining, and if we want to do something corporately, we send a representative on our behalf, and people meet, they say, okay, maybe we need to do this corporately, but that's what the Civil War was fought over. Already at that point, it had been carried to the extent that we're way past that now. There are no states like that. We have no individual rights left other than we think we can still vote and do something, but we've just proven that to be in error. And we do have a right to petition. We better hang on to that, because I think that's the only one left. But if you who are older and remember how it used to be, know that it can be better than it is now. In the direction we're going, I don't care who you put up there in Washington, but, and I may get shot over this or chased down and jailed, but we might ought to put a perimeter fence around that whole bunch and get them in a camp until they figure out they can't run the country, because we still want to be of the people, by the people, and the people, which was the constitutional right.
We're here. Our buddy Ted just got me booted off here, so we couldn't get this part recorded here. And now we're going back on, trying to get this up. Okay. Alright. Alright. We're back on BlogTV. Everything else is still recording, so we're going fine. Alright, yeah, Jake, it's interesting. I mean, we do about 530 some odd people up there in Washington, D.C., and out of that 500, so there's only a couple, 2 or 3, maybe a handful, a dozen, that are on our side. They're for the people. The rest of them are working for the banks. The banks are saying that they get paid. All of the election, all the money that we spent, the American people donated almost $1 billion to the two parties, the Republicans and Democrats.
That's what they say.
And where did that money go? Where did that money go? It went to pay for their limousines, it went to pay for their travel, and it went to pay for their advertising on ABC, NBC, CNN, the Communist News Network.
How many people could we help with that kind of funding if it wasn't spent on advertising?
Well, it's now, George Bush walked out of the White House. I've been fighting him for 8 years, trying to expose, his daddy's drug dealing and all this. And as he walked out of that revolving door of the White House, he just handed the bankers, not bankers, the Goldman Sachs, the Federal Reserve guys, handed them $2 trillion. Now that would have paid off every mortgage. That would have paid off every home in the country. To the people. And the banks would have got their money, the people would have had their homes, we would have been secure, and we would have had a good economy again. They didn't do that. That was the Republican Party, and the Democrat Party hasn't done any better.
That's right. Let me be biblical for a moment on that point you brought up. If you go back to Levitical law, if you go back to what's known as Pentecost, if you go back to the way it was set up for God's people, it's supposed to be that every 50 years, all debt is forgiven. It would have been the opportunity of a lifetime to do what the Bible had already set up, saying, okay, we're going to pay off all these debts to these people, and they've got their homes. They don't have to worry about losing them. I know people that are very close to me that have pulled their hair out and gotten very sick, very ill over concern of their very homestead or their house, that they're going to lose it and not having a place to live.
Yeah. Well, that's been gone. We've actually did make some progress this election. That I doubt if they're even covering it on the television or the newspapers.
And of course, what I'm talking about there, and I'm not sure that I made the point during the interview, is the legalization of marijuana in Colorado and Washington. Now you can grow your own pot, you can smoke it without becoming part of the slave industry called the U.S. prison systems.
But the basis of every civilization is the self-sufficient family farm, as I tried to put together with Liberty Villages.
And if we were growing hemp, marijuana, cannabis on our farms, our ranches, and our backyards, and selling it to our less industrious neighbors, we would turn the economy around. We could pay off our debts. We could become an economy-based system. A production. Whatever we produce is where our money comes from. And that certainly beats the hell out of the banksters system.
And to me, that was the best way to come out of her. Walk away. Don't support the bankers. Don't support the newspapers. Don't support these television stations. Don't support the drugging of America. I mean, how many of us are on drugs in America? I know you have to take some for reasons, but I'm not even taking none. What's that?
I take absolutely none.
Good. Because I don't either. I don't take any flu shots. I don't have anything like that. And I'm healthier than anybody else I know my age.
Well, I'm not paranoid, but what might someone put into the needle when they decide to give me a shot of something?
That's correct. And by the way, there's more of a markup on pharmaceutical medicines like Valium or whatever Viagra, whatever you're taking. There's more of a markup on those than there is in cocaine or heroin. And the government is bringing the cocaine and bringing the heroin in here. I've documented that in my book, Mr. Babylon. So, and what a racket! Isn't that a heck of a racket? They break
I too have documented that in two of my books. One of them called Healing or Hype, which is what sells pharmaceuticals, the hype, and the other one sold out because we have sold out to bankers and pharmaceutical interests. But yeah, this was can I touch on the medical point for a moment?
Absolutely, sure.
We can watch. My wife and I watched a movie, I think it was last night, that was very clearly making it understandable that X-rays, the gamma rays, whatever rays, radioactive material you are opening up to bombard the body with, are intended to kill cells. Now, they claim they're going to kill cancer cells, but how precise is the aim, and why should we continue to allow doctors and nurses to put us on a table naked, or stand in front of a plate naked and open this course and bombard us with it when they're standing behind a lead sheet with a little badge on to let them know when they even start getting a little of this on them? There's something wrong with that picture. If we're killing cells with radioactive bombardment, then why are we rushing to the doctor to annually get bombarded with it just on the case we might have some invader in the body? It's all about me. It's the easiest thing in the world to flip that little switch and let that cover come off with that radioactive material, let it close back up, let the computer draw a picture of you all down to your bones and parts, and then they charge an exorbitant amount of money for the guy who pushed the button. It's ridiculous. And if we're killing ourselves with that, we're killing ourselves. You brought out aspartame. We process food to the point you can't go to the store and be confident that you're not buying something that's actually going to poison you. And now you're back to grow your own, making sure that it's not overly processed, or it's not, you know, if something's got a long shelf life, there's something wrong with it. Because good food's supposed to soil.
That's right there, you know. Set some margarine out on the sidewalk, the ants won't even eat it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's good lubricant, though.
Yes, you are the most knowledgeable person I have ever met on the Bible. And, you know, to me, and you've read my book. I've got a review of my book on there. That, you know, 2,000 years ago, they knew what was going to be happening now. So, it's, how does, you talk about religiosity. Now, I've gone to churches. I was baptized, I guess, when I was 14 in a Baptist church. And I really haven't been back inside a church until I walked into yours in Texas. I did not feel right. I did not feel right. I mean, but somehow I believe, the way Thomas Jefferson believed, that the words of Jesus were the most important in the Bible. There's other words in there. There's other words in there. We talked about Proverbs. We talked about Solomon, and of course Solomon kind of screwed up. Hopefully, hopefully the character I created 45 years ago will do a little bit better, and but that's fiction. I thought I was writing fiction. However, a lot of the stuff that I wrote that far back and is happening now, is coming true now. Things I wrote 10 years ago is happening now, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, telling you to do this radio show, putting it up on YouTube, putting it up on Blogtalk Radio, putting it up on BlogTV. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe this is what God wanted me to do. I went through a lot. I've been in 49 states. I've been in you know, I've been in all parts of society, from the penthouses in Miami Beach to the biker bars in LA. I felt that God told me to do this. Told me that you need to go here. You need to know what you're talking about. You need to know. You need to smoke it so you know what is real. What is real? And how we've been misinformed. And you know, when documents were simply handed to me from strangers on the street. Strangers on the street. Here, you need to see this. You need to read this. And that still happens to me today on the internet. But is there a force moving me? Is it certainly churches? The churches out there. You know, I feel a cold chill when I walk into some of these churches.
Oh, absolutely. I can give you a quick, very concise bottom line on, if you will, the election. For all of the political trappings, and everybody's promising this, and everybody's talking about this, and all the rhetoric that went on, and all of the hype, and all of the political stuff, which is a bunch of garbage, the bottom line is this. When those people, whether they be in the White House or in the Senate or in Congress itself or even in the Pentagon, when they violate our contract with them, which is called the Constitution, it has not been amended, it has not been changed in this part that they just blatantly violated. They are breaking the law, and they should be taken out of office, and they should be punished, at least sanctioned, for breaking the law, and we should not be allowing them to take part in running or managing our business in this country. That's the bottom line. And those people we're talking about, I can give you a list, but I don't want the feds coming in here and shooting me today because my wife still wants me to help her do something. But I could give you a huge list, and it begins with a couple of guys we tried to push into the White House, of folks who don't go by the rules. And we, as a people, have got to stand up and say, we're not going to allow this anymore. We have a Constitution that's based on the Bible, and we need to do it in church, too. We need to go back to the church house and say, Pastor, if you're going to just be here to be a big shot or make money or try to look good, then you need to go somewhere else. Go sit in the pew and let somebody called sit up here because you're not even telling the truth. Of course, they'd shut down 90% of the churches. Yes, sir. We need to do the same thing with government.
But didn't I just had this idiot here on my chat room that says, let's see, that Yahweh doesn't preach hate like you do. Bashing the chosen ones is not divinely inspired. And then it's chosen by themselves, not by me or God. I responded, your people are not the chosen ones. I believe that you and your Cherokee ancestors are more chosen, more of the chosen ones, more of the Israelites, the true Israelites, than any of the Jews that say they're Jews but are not, or of the synagogue of Satan. Now,
well, the Prophet Messiah is the one, and I believe in Jesus.
Yes, sir.
And he's the author of the Bible. If that is what we believe, and I certainly do, then I don't know how anybody gets around the person born in Israel named Jesus, who said, if you don't come through me, brother, you ain't getting in. That's John 14:6. I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody gets the Father unless they come through me. How does one get around that? You can call yourself a Jew, a Cherokee, or a Hindu, whatever you want to. If he's truly the Messiah, and I believe him to be, then, and their history said we're looking for him, but they couldn't see him when he showed up because of the same thing we got nowadays. We have so perverted religiosity, the churchiosity process, that it's all pomp and circumstance and ritual and legalism. It has nothing to do with spirituality anymore.
And the Bible told us about this. Didn't they say they would forget who you are? Haven't we gone out, I'm talking about us Caucasians, we crossed the Caucasus Mountains, as I tried to explain to my friends, our ancestors were there too. We didn't start here in America, we didn't start in Africa, we started right there in Palestine, in Iraq, in Babylon, in that whole area, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Palestine.
Let me quote a couple of what the Pharisees in Jesus' time claimed to be their prophets. Isaiah said, we're going to get to the point. This is 400 years before Jesus, 2,400 years ago. He said, we're going to call good bad and bad good and turn everything upside down where it won't make any sense, because everything evil is going to look good and everything good is going to be called evil. And we've experienced that. If you go to Daniel, he said, we're going to search so much for, this is the 12th chapter, we're going to be so in search of knowledge without wisdom, we will get a bunch of it, and we'll get so confused, we'll be running to and fro looking for more, and yet have no idea what to do with all the data we collect. And you and I have discussed this. Without wisdom, knowledge is just a storage place for data. And that's Old Testament.
They also said we would forget who we were. Now, what's happened here, according to my friend, Chair, I hope he's listening to this, I hope he's catching this, the trying to say that the Jews are Christians. I mean, I have no doubt that somebody of the tribe of Judah was walking beside my ancestors that may have been in the tribe of Dan. When we crossed the Caucasus Mountains to become called Caucasians, and if whoever was there, whether it was the Pharisees didn't want to accept Jesus, and the Talmud is an evil document that says that denies Jesus, and tries to tell you that he's burning in hell right now. And I don't believe that for a minute. That means that the people that are telling you this, that have infiltrated our churches, infiltrated the Catholic Church, and may have created the Catholic Church.
Well, and they have a different deity than our God. They have a pope. They have people who are popularly voted in by a group of a board, or if you will, that sits and votes them in, which has nothing to do with being called by God. In Jeremiah, he says, I'm going to call pastors after my own heart. In Acts, I think it's 20:28, it says the same thing. I'll put the pastors in the church. You don't need a pulpit committee. You're not going to get called on the phone. The local district superintendent's not going to put you in. And the diocese certainly has nothing to do with it. It's called of God, and he has done that for me and a few other people that you know that are doing this, but most haven't got a clue what that means.
So what they've done here is, they've convinced my friend there that he's somehow Jewish. And I said, you're not Jewish. You don't have the features. You aren't one of the Khazars. You didn't adopt the convenience of a religion. Oh, and I talked about this the other day. I did a show a couple of days ago about a man a reporter, a writer, that went into the synagogue, was there for 2 years, wanted to convert, and when he heard the Kol Nidri, the prayer, he said it it was like praying to Satan. Praying to Satan. You know, to forgive yourself so you can lie and cheat and steal without any consequences and whatever, you know.
I just got a revelation, Clay.
Yes, sir.
You know what I see? I see all of this being turned into a competitive game. We have it with the two parties in an election, or the three, however many you want to put in there. It's, okay, I want my team to win. And, you know, let's throw caution to the wind. Let's throw truth to the wind. Let's do whatever sneaky thing we got to do to win. The same thing in court nowadays. It has nothing to do with the truth or what's right. It's whoever comes in and puts on the best show wins the game. You got the same thing with religion. You have one religion pitted against another who say, well, I don't even have to go to Church of Christ because I'm Methodist or I'm Baptist and I won't mess with the Catholics. You put these walls up as competition. And in fact, we all should be under the same blood and looking at some way to gather together and, like you said, get a community going where we have not all the same particular ideas or ways of living, but a common goal and the community idea that maybe we're all trying to just live our life together, take care of our kids, and be kind to our neighbors. And
now, what has happened right now at this point, when I recorded the show earlier with Dr. Jake Wade, the people that run BlogTV, some of them pretending to be trolls, some of them pretending to be Jews, some of them pretending to be rabbis, some of them just pure assholes. Somebody tampered with BlogTV, somebody hacked into our system here and closed this show down for a few minutes. It took us a little while to get it all back up. It happened to my computer. It happened to another a second computer that I broadcast on, because I broadcast to BlogTV, I broadcast to BlogTalk Radio, I broadcast to TalkShoe Radio, and matter of fact, this was a composite. We'll have probably a different composite come along, that of clips that we had to put together to do this. I made the decision, because this has happened before, anytime we got into controversial subjects and we were making a good point, suddenly the show went off the air, suddenly it stopped recording, suddenly this film stopped going here. And this is what happened at this particular point in my show live this morning. Now, tomorrow I'll have somebody else on my show, and I have all types of different people. This is a dean that you're listening to. Got his PhD in divinity. Started Timothy Bible College. Started the Little Red Schoolhouse. All of that information is up on my site, freeamerican.com. Go there. You can hear the shows. All you have to do is click on the name of the guest that I had on that show, and you can hear that show. I've had people like presidential candidate Gary Johnson, who, if he had won, and of course he couldn't because you didn't know about him, you thought, oh, if a third party, we're throwing our vote away. No, you threw your vote away when you voted Republican or Democrat. You threw your vote away, you threw it to the banksters, and as Jake and I, the point Jake and I made, and I tried to make here, $1 billion of your money that you donated to your party all went back to the banksters, all went back to their media companies. And this is exactly what Thomas Jefferson warned you about when he said, if you ever allow a private bank to issue your money, the banks and the corporations that spring up around them, the ABCs, the Walt Disney, the NBCs, the CNNs, the Monsanto, the companies that, the Goldman Sachs out there, the companies that spring up around the banks will leave your children homeless in the land that we conquered. And that happened, ladies and gentlemen. That happened to you this year. Over 1 million Americans out of homeless in America, because they couldn't make the payments because all the jobs had been sent overseas. And as we pointed out, George Bush, on his way out, gave $2 trillion away of your money. Now, the last thing I remember hearing about somebody that actually stood up to it was when Davy Crockett got called on the carpet for wanting to take some money to give to some people that had been burned out, and the voters called him on the carpet and said, no, can't do that. You know, that's what charities are for, that's what churches are for, that's what other things are for, not the government to take money from another and give it to somebody for. That's sharing the wealth. That's what Obama has done. That's what the banks have been doing to you. And this is kind of communism in action, but you're not allowed to talk about that. They'd rather you believe that McCarthy was a bad word and a bad man because he tried to tell you about the communists, many of whom happen to be Jewish. This ain't being anti-Semitic. This ain't being a racist. This is being truthful. This is trying to make you understand exactly what's happening here. Now, this whole break, I had to redo this film, and you know, not much different. When Jake's talking, when my guest is talking, I'm not saying much. I'm just sitting here looking pretty on camera. But and in this particular instance, in this particular film, you can hear me talking, but my lips aren't moving, and I'm not trying to lip sync this or anything. I'm just replaying the show that we recorded this morning. Tomorrow we'll have it. It'll be a whole different situation. And here we getting back on, just reestablishing the connection here. Yes.
All right. We're trying to get Jake back up as soon as they realize we're disconnected, maybe.
Yes, sir. It took a few minutes to get us all back together again. And meanwhile, let me tell you about my book, Mystery Network.
We just got hacked and disconnected. Both of my computers, 3 computers just went down here. We're back up now. My guest is Dr. Jake Wade. We are still recording a number of outlets, and yeah, this is all coming from the rabbi and just working on BlogTV to try to disrupt the show. They're just getting a little bit too much truth out here, Jake. Dr. Jake Wade is my guest, and we are recording again. And we did get most of this and all of this recorded despite everything they tried to do here. Go over, Jake.
I was really saying that we have made church and education and the political process and even the legal process all like some kind of sports event and make it a game of competition, and my team has to win no matter whether we follow the rules or tell the truth or whatever, and it's perverted everything.
Well, we certainly see that happening. We certainly see that over and over again. And, you know, folks, it's, we're really not safe with what's coming as long as we're on the ground where we can be condemned. And they are not playing by the rules. They're cheating, and people are everywhere. I wonder what's wrong with their life. Most are running hither and yon, especially the internet surfers trying to find a solution. So the Bible goes thus within the reach of their hand.
Amen. Amen. Well put.
Now, knowledge is increasing at a very rapid rate, yet life for most seems to worsen. Why hasn't this increase in knowledge brought about happiness?
pride we have as a people, as a world. We have decided that our technology is so great, we're right back to the Tower of Babel, believing that if we can get all the smart folks together, we'll outdo God and be the creator. And that's always been faulty thinking, and it always will be. But I think that's where we are. We have so wrapped ourselves up in our own technology. We don't care about our neighbor. We don't care about our family. It's all about me, and that's where pride gets you. It gets you greed and avarice.
Okay, kind of speaking of that, I mean, I've got this up. I had this up, this little site up before the show started, and the gentleman here, it says gaining head knowledge is one thing, and this goes back to what we were talking about my experience in traveling all over the world, going from penthouses to biker bars, going out into the ocean, going under the ocean, gaining experience of that knowledge, head knowledge, through lack of experience is quite another thing. The word does not become flesh in us by the gaining of head knowledge. It may be the beginning of change, but it will not bring forth actual change. What changes us is being put into situations where the word becomes life by putting ourselves on the cross, letting the word come forth in us. This is what is happening to those who are being put through very difficult times. If we're walking the walk with the truth correctly, if one is walking correctly, then the word will come forth in that individual, become life in them, and then by that bring the individual into the subjection of the word. And the word is Yeshua, who is manifesting himself in us. I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
The only thing you got to be careful of with that is the prosperity teachers of the day that say, well, you know, if you will send me $1,000, if you will bow to my way of teaching, then you're going to be rich and famous, which is not biblical. It's, you know, it's, I do agree, though, that if we get lined up, and it goes back to giving, it goes back to having care for the other person. You have that. One of the things that has drawn me to you, even when I thought some of your findings or your positions may have been a little off of what mine were, you still have exuded that care, that true inner concern for other people and for the whole country. And that's where we're supposed to be. That's the fruit. James, Jesus' asked brother in the Bible, says, if you have faith, that's great, but without works, it's dead. So there's got to be something going on past just believing.
I've mentioned the fact that some of these preachers don't want to talk to me, don't want to help, don't want to have me on. Because one of the things I question Paul and his motives and his background, and you mentioned James, Jesus' brother James. Well, that was who the Pharisee Saul tried to kill before he changed his name to Paul. Now, I know that you quote the Bible and you believe in the Bible and all that, but you know, there's been statements in the Bible that Paul made that Thomas Jefferson, when he created the Thomas Jefferson Bible, he left all of the words of Saul the Pharisee or Paul the Apostle out and just used the words of Jesus. And I don't find it hard to believe that a Pharisee could see the light, could see what Jesus was and what he was saying, and become a convert. Maybe you can address that for me.
But the danger is that, and I agree with you, you know, I started, when God called me to be a pastor, my first study was nothing but what Jesus said. So we are in total agreement there. The thing about Paul's writings, or even James or John or the rest of them, or my writings, or your writings, must be taken with a grain of salt. So mine come from the Bible, yours are from your heart or what you believe. Those things are just human writings, and it must be looked at with a jaundiced eye, so that it is based on what Jesus said, or you take it back for its validation. I know the Bible extremely well, but do not ever take what I say and say, okay, well, I got a new idea because he gave it to me without checking it out with the book. And that's what a lot of religions have not done. They just use their opinion and what they feel would be the way that they'd like to go because it benefits them. And you've got the perversion of the church now. That's why most of the churches don't work as a spiritual guide, because they are not real.
Now, up on my website, I have information on how people could attend your church. I've got information up on my website from Timothy Bible College and from the Little Red Schoolhouse. And I believe that you have taken the correct steps in creating all of these entities that you have created. And I'm proud to have been able to assist you in your efforts for the last 20 years.
That's why you're on the board.
and folks, I mean, you can continue your education. Yeah, I've run videos, and I've had things, may even have it up here. The schools now, the colleges, the high schools. The high schools are, if you go to the high school library, today, there is not much difference in going to a prison library.
Mm-hmm.
They have perverted the churches, they've dumbed down our students.
It's even censored play. I've been to college, university, of course just local ones, but I've been to a number of them to go to their library to try to find material for philosophy and that sort of thing, because people sell their books back. And at each one I've gone to their spiritual area, and there is, and most of them, no Bible and no Bible commentary. They got Harry Potter in there, they have Hinduism, they've got New Age, they've got Scientology, they have no Bible or minimal Bible or commentary on the Bible, and that says loads. It's simple.
They don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to hear this. And by the way, if you go to you go to borrow money from the banks or the government to go to these colleges, and they don't teach you to think. They teach you to memorize. They teach you to conventional wisdom. They don't, and today you can't even pray in schools.
Right.
I mean, this is an attack on Christianity. I've got it up on. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I've got this up on my website. I've got it up on the website right at the top. I've got an article by my friend who appeared at my expos, called by the name of Eustace Mullins, who talks about a war on Christianity. And I mean, folks, here comes evil. I mean, this is evil. People don't want you to know the truth about Israel, about our religion. I mean,
I've really been teaching Darwin's theory of evolution is a religion, and just as you stated, is a purposeful attack to eradicate Christianity.
It's, now let's see, what's the, maybe you could answer this one. What's the oldest religion out there? What's the oldest religion on this planet? I have people on my site that say Satanism is the oldest religion on this planet. It's what the Bible talks about. When they talk about the Pharisees, they're talking about the control, the influence of Satan there. And
I can't answer that. If you are speaking only biblically, the Bible scholars will tell you they think that Job was the first book written, that it was written by Moses, that it was the first book written for the Bible. If that is true, then Satanism certainly would be the first, because he shows up as the antithesis of God and says, you know, I'm going to be a God and I'll take all your people. And he says, have you considered my servant Job? And then we go from there. That is a religion.
Now, I've got up here on the website. You figure Satan gave the keys of his kingdom to someone since Christ refused it. So who did the keys to Satan's kingdom go to?
I would imagine anybody who wants to dance with Babylon, the idea.
That's right, those that serve him best. Those that serve him best.
Yes.
I could call myself an elephant all day long, but it doesn't mean I am one, so no matter what religion they hide behind, whether it's Jew, Christian, Muslim, whatever religion or lack of it, if they all learn from and live by a satanic Bible, a Talmud, other satanic books, the people are evil. It's really simple. Call these people whatever they like, but if they walk like a duck. In the Talmud, these people run the world. This is a book of this book is a book of Satanism. It's what all world leaders learn from, and anyone so blind not to see the Talmud is as far from the 5 books of Moses, and God is in really big trouble. But they don't admit it.
It's the old adage, we are what we eat, and if we're eating that kind of information, that's who we'll be. That's why the public school is so detrimental to our children, so abusive to our children, because they are literally teaching them what to think. And our approach, you know, trying to be a little different, is not teaching them what to think, but how to think.
It is why we have Timothy Bible College and the Little Red Schoolhouse at the top of the Free American folks. And, you know, I've said, Greg, it's really simple to me. You know, it's not, you know, what church you go to, what clothes you wear, how expensive, how much you paid for that suit. If you are trying to take care of your family and your friends and your town and your state and your country, then you're doing good.
In Matthew 24 and 25, that's exactly what Jesus said the mandate was. What you just stated is the total of it.
Am I inspired, or am I psychic, or am I spiritually connected, or am I just remembering?
It all works.
All of the links for Timothy Bible College are up on my site. The links from the pages are up about the Little Red Schoolhouse. Now, I'm proud to have had you on my show and helped start the Little Red Schoolhouse almost 20 years ago.
That's right.
Has it been that long?
It has.
It's what we need to do, folks. You need and it's time. The election's over, folks. If you're going to support somebody, I would suggest that you support Tennessee Bible College and the Free American Radio Show, the Free American website that is bringing you this show. In spite of all the difficulties, in spite of all the attacks, in spite of 4 phone lines going down, we've got it back up, we've got it recorded, we're recording it right now, and we're still going.
You know what? I've tried to quit. I've just said nobody's listening. It's too much trouble. I'm 70 years old. I have physical issues, and God won't let me. He won't let you either. They tried to kill you, and here you are still up and running. It's what we're supposed to be doing.
That was a miracle within itself. I was hospitalized for 4 months. I was kept unconscious for 3 months. And I've seen the photos of the motorcycle that I was riding, and I don't know, I really don't see how it was possible to live through that. Matter of fact, the ambulance drivers that arrived on the scene told the witnesses that this guy will never make it. Nobody injured that badly could possibly live.
Well, it's like you and I are a lot alike. They both, felt like we would at least never walk again. We both still walk.
We both still walk, and I'll be helping to build the fence tomorrow, or Saturday. Anyway, it's folks, it is working. We can make a difference. We can do something here.
Amen. Amen.
And
give me some folks would like us to do.
He wants us to quit. I mean, that's why so many of my brothers, more of my brothers have volunteered for Vietnam around the same time period that I did, have killed themselves, committed suicide here in America after they got home. More of them have killed themselves than were killed in Vietnam. To me, that's a national tragedy. It is, and we need to be you need to be really thinking about that, folks. You got the founder of CNN up there saying on television, on the mainstream news, that it's a good thing that all of our veterans are committing suicide.
Well, isn't it nice that they didn't have to go fight the fight, that somebody did it for them?
That's right, and the trick here, is we have to, you kind of have to ask yourself, now, who would Jesus bomb? Would Jesus go along with attacking Iran? Would Jesus go along with dropping atomic bombs on innocent Japanese? Would they do that, folks? No, they wouldn't.
According to the Bible, he had the capacity to build all this earth and everything, including us, and could have, instead of going to the cross, he could have just spoken a word and all of his enemies would have disappeared. So that's the answer to your question. That's not his approach.
And it also echoes what I tried to say. How do you fight evil without becoming evil? You do it with love. You raise your level of vibrational energy to equal that of Jesus. And he told us, and I felt like he was speaking directly to me, you can do what I do and more.
Amen. Amen.
Dr. Jake Reed, I want to thank you for being on my show. I want to thank you for being your friend and keeping me together. Thank you. Good.
I wrote that. Have a nice day.